Good morning, everybody. It's a Monday morning, April 22nd, 2013. This is Weber on Sports, another edition. Hope you're checking us out here on a Monday a.m. As we always do, we try to do each week, we try to bring in our special guest. And today, we're going to bring in my longtime friend and my classmate, Carol Ganzon, who joins us here on Weber on Sports. Carol, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Harold. Thanks for having me.
A couple disclaimers. Myself and Carol and Tony go back a long time. And, of course, myself and Carol were classmates at Minders Academy. We will, however, refrain from telling you the year we graduated.
That's right.
We've always enjoyed the Ganzons, and my wife Mary and Carol are close friends, and Tony and myself worked together for a zillion years at Gould's Pumps before we retired. But it's good to have. We're not here to talk about my history with Carol, only to disclaim the fact that we've known each other a long, long time, is the fact that Carol is got a dubious distinction of being the first woman president ever elected at the Seneca Falls Country Club. And, of course, that took place a year ago, Carol, and let's back it up a year when you were approached or you decided to throw your hat in the ring to become the president. A, I thought it was a great move. B, I understand you've done a great job. And to be the very first woman ever to lead the Seneca Falls Country Club has to be a feather in your cap. And how did that feel? And how does it feel knowing that you're taking care of the club and trying to get it to where it always has been, an outstanding place to play golf?
Well, I think that when I took on the role of president, it wasn't an issue with me that I was the first woman president. It was more that if you complain about the way things are run, that you should step up to the plate and be constructive instead of destructive. So that was what motivated me to do it, because many people will tell you I was very critical of a lot of things.
Sure.
And this has been a learning experience for me, because now I understand why some decisions were made. It's, you understand when you're on the firing line, you know that the buck stops right here.
Sure.
So I've enjoyed it. I think that I've probably put in more time than maybe I should have, and maybe I don't know. But the people that I work with down there right now don't seem to have any complaints.
Right.
When Bob was with us, Bob didn't really have any complaints with me. We worked well together. So it's a learning experience. Every day is a learning experience working down there.
I should point out, too, being a member and having been a member for quite a few years, I was a couple years off with a back issue, but I've always enjoyed the club, of course, you and me. And let me also point out Carol and Tony Ganzon, of course, Carol, our special guest this morning, talking Seneca Falls Country Club. The fact that you and Tony just didn't show up from Dubuque, Iowa to come to this area, you guys have been members of that club for a very long period of time. When did you first join the country club?
Well, if I tell you that, then you'll kind of figure out when I graduated.
Well, let's say back in the what years?
Okay. But Tony was a member before we were married.
Okay.
So when I married Tony,
sure.
48 years ago, I became a member. So I've been a member for 48 years. Tone's been a member for more than that.
Wow.
So he loves golf and taught me to love golf. And so we've been there for the club and with the club since 1964.
That's great. Well, and you certainly have seen the club. Carol, and Jimmy Senecropi, obviously the owner of Finger Lakes One, who's directing the show this morning. He's on the board of directors. We'll get Jim's comments as we proceed on this program. But you've seen the country club evolve into a bustling private country club, whereas I remember those days when I joined, it was a private club way back when. Golf, of course, is not growing at the level of percentage across the country and around the world, for that matter. Economic reasons, certainly a factor. People have got other things to do. I remember when the Seneca Falls machine was hustling and bustling, and Sylvania was in town hustling and bustling. Gould's Pumps, obviously, is still here under different names. I get confused to what we're calling ourselves now. But I recall, and you recall, the member guest was sold out 2 months ahead of time. I recall the Thursday night men's league was sold out. You couldn't get in it. You needed to have somebody literally get injured to get a spot. Those were the good old days when you had the type of population, Carol, to affect and allow you to be private. Of course, talk about our club, Seneca Falls, and basically golf in general, it comes a time where the club made a decision to go semi-private. Talk a little bit about that transition.
Well, as you say, the times have changed.
Sure.
Where we used to have a one person in a family working, and there was
Exactly.
more freedom. Now, it's a two-family that are working. So the time that they have that's not involved with their job is involved with their families. And so one of the things that's been a test for us is try to move forward and become more family-oriented. And because we are only golf, we don't have tennis courts, we don't
Right.
have a swimming pool, it's been a problem. So
Right.
we're trying to address that. We're going to be offering more junior golf programs for the kids. We're offering special programs for younger couples, for younger we call them junior executives. That doesn't mean that they have to be a vice president or
Sure.
something, but it's a title that we give that category of membership. We have a category of memberships for, for high school students. We have a category of membership for college students. So we're addressing those issues, and it's just a different time. It's just a different time, as you pointed
Sure.
out. The economy of Seneca Falls is different than it was 40 years ago.
Exactly. I can remember when it was just amazing. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I remember the member guest. It took me like 3 years to get in that tournament way back when. And it was the highlight of our season, and things have changed. Of course, one of the storied histories of Seneca Falls Country Club was the burning of the clubhouse.
Yes.
And you certainly remember that like I do. The club management at the time, the directors decided to rebuild, obviously, with our structure presently. You mentioned the swimming pool. Back when it burned down, there was speculation that maybe there was thought of adding a swimming pool or maybe putting a tennis court in. Was that something considered way back then, or was it something that was maybe talked about and decided to go with what we presently have?
Well, I would guess that they decided to go with what we presently have.
Right.
I was not party to that
Sure.
conversation back then, because back then I had different things on my mind. And, we can always look back and say we wish we had gone with that. Personally, I'd like them to put a pickleball court in.
Yeah.
But because that's the new growing
That's right.
sport around here. So, but that's not on our horizon either. But I don't know, Harold, what their decision was back then. I mean, obviously their decision was not to go with it.
Right.
Why that was decided, I don't know, and it probably was the correct one.
Yeah, and I think our structure is a beautiful structure. I think we have a wonderful dining room. I think we have an outstanding banquet facility, whereas even if you fill out the banquet facility, you can add a tent on the side of it,
That's
like
right.
we've done many times for weddings and ceremonies. Let's talk a little bit about some of your staff. And you certainly, with evolution, and Jimmy can chime in with his comments about the staff down there. You engaged, and we hired a new pro this year. I've had a chance to meet him quite often, had him on the show a couple weeks ago. Chris Maneri out of Auburn. Very engaging young man, very easy to get along with, very pleasant, likes to bust chops, has a good time with it. Talk a little bit about Chris and your decision to bring him on.
Well, we had found ourselves faced with out a pro in December. Our former pro decided that he needed to do something different.
Sure.
So I was at Florida when we started the interview process. It was very interesting. Thank God for Skype, but and thank God for Jimmy being up here and handling things. But Chris, we talked to him on the telephone. He sent us his resume, and he just appealed to us. He just seemed to have that presence and that interest in coming to us, and so we are very lucky that we've got him. He's a hard worker.
Yeah.
Anything that needs to be done, he's out there. If you want a table moved, call Chris. I mean,
He does it all.
And so he's meticulous about the carts. He's just he's a good addition to the club. So we're glad we've got him. He's funny.
And we need to send kudos to our superintendent of grounds, who doesn't get much credit behind the scenes. Doug, talk about him.
We have Doug McWhorter is our ground superintendent, and he is pulled off, as far as I'm concerned, some miraculous work, because he has a limited budget, a limited staff, yet he gets everything done. If you ask him to do something, he's right there on top of it. So we're blessed that we have him, and the green. I think the course looks pretty nice. Wouldn't you
Yep.
agree, Jim?
Yep.
Oops, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, the our golf course is in great shape. I played 18 holes yesterday. It was about 36 degrees when we teed off, but we still played. And Doug does a fantastic job, and he does it with less resources than his predecessors have had.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely, yeah.
The course was in great shape, and it's only going to get better. And this being his second year, he's more now in tune more with the watering system and all our equipment. So I expect things to be fantastic this year.
Yeah. He was down there Saturday because we had a pick up sticks
Right.
day at the club, and several of our members showed up and worked through this little snowstorm, the little blizzard. But Doug was down there with suggestions of where they could go, and it was cold. So
And of course, we're going to turn from the superintendent grounds to the eating aspect of the club, which is a big important factor. Lunches, dinners, etc., banquets, and of course, John, the chef. Talk about John.
All right, John Steinrock came to us last year, and he's just a kind, gentle person from my perspective, and very easy to work with. He puts out a really nice food, very good. He's willing to work with anybody on any banquet, anything that they want. And so we started serving dinners on Friday nights, the first Friday in April, and the number of people, it is open to the public, the number
Right.
of people has grown and grown. Friday night he served his famous macaroni and cheese, seafood macaroni and cheese, and sold out of it. He does the $10.95 fish fry on Friday nights. And
I had an incredible caprese salad.
yeah.
It was mozzarella and the balsamic. It was really good. It was so good on Friday night that after I played golf, I got it again,
You
and
had it again?
instead of having like a hamburger or cheeseburger,
Oh.
trying to watch my
That's
my
good,
figure.
Jim. That's good. So we'll
Yep.
start with. Look at me, I'm talking faster than you are,
No,
Harold.
that's okay. Go ahead.
We'll probably start our dinner menu for the rest of the week in May when all the leagues start.
Yep.
And can I just move right into our new bar supervisor?
I definitely had a chance to meet her. She's a very engaging young lady. Seems on top of her game. Sammy.
We have Sammy, who came to us last year in August, and she was willing to come back this year. She's a very organized young woman, and she's running that bar service pretty nicely, and oversees the wait staff and the bar staff. Works well with John, and in fact, we have a staff meeting on Monday morning, so I had to tell him I'd be late for the staff meeting because I was meeting with the dog.
That's right. Got to meet with the dog. Well, I enjoyed her. She's very outgoing, very engaging. She seems to be on top of her game. My first reaction was that she's a great addition to the club, and I think that the members and the non-members, and we need to point out, Seneca Falls Country Club, we're a semi-private club. Anybody can come down and play golf, and anybody can come down and have dinner or lunch or whatever. We want to emphasize that.
That's
There
right.
are some friends of mine that still don't live in the area. They come back to the area and they still think we're a private club, and I try to remind them, no, we're not. You call down and get a tea time for the weekends. If you have 4 members or 4 individuals that are not members, we hope to have them join sometime. Call the pro, get a tea time, during the May calendar when tea times begin, and they'll be more than glad to slot you. And as you know, Carol and Jimmy, you always have a special, usually, for the non-member scenario. And I think it's important that we emphasize that because there's still this speculation that we are still private and you can't come and play. Yes, you can. And it's just something that, or we can't come down and have dinner with friends. I've had people tell me, matter of fact, we brought a couple of our friends last year who had never come to the club because they thought it was private dining room. And it's not. So we want to emphasize, hey, if you're checking us out this morning, Seneca Falls Country Club is open to anybody. Just come down, enjoy the food, enjoy the opportunity to play golf, because we need to emphasize that it's important.
That's right. That's
So-
right. And we are doing a nice job with lunches right now.
Yep.
So, and the menu will expand as the season moves.
That's right. Carol Ganzon, our special guest this morning, the president of Seneca Falls Country Club, along with our director, Jim Senecropi. We're going to continue talking to Carol about some of the rates and the membership opportunities if you're interested in joining. But let's check out our sponsors that make this show possible, including the Seneca Falls Country Club. Welcome back, everybody. It's a Dog H. Weber with another edition of Weber on Sports on a sunny Monday. We haven't been able to say that too often the last several weeks, but it's nice. Temperatures are going to rise to the 60s today and tomorrow, which yippee-yi-yay. And then we're going to get a couple of showers on Wednesday, but they're saying later in the week it's going to maintain around the 60-degree mark, which Carol Ganzon is alongside, the president of Seneca Falls Country Club, longtime friend of myself. And, Carol, it's nice to get some decent weather in here. We're due for some good weather, and certainly the golfers can't wait for a little bit of warmth.
That's for sure.
Carol, let's talk about specifics as far as membership rates go. I've brought some information with me. I just say the single is $1,165. That does not include the 8% tax. That certainly is very reasonable, and you're certainly comfortable with that rate. You can extend the payment, by the way. If you want to join the club today, we hope that you're checking us out. What you would do is go down and talk to our pro or talk to the front office down there. And you would pay you could spread your payments over 6 months. You pay the April payment today, and then you spread out the next 5 months equal payments. So that gives you an opportunity to spread the payments out. We should point out the joint family is a $1,605 rate, $1,605. Again, you can take advantage of the 6-month plan, pay the first month now. The college student, you've got a high school student rate of $300, which I think is a great rate for the kids as they try to emerge in the game of golf.
That's right.
$500 for a college student, which is a great rate as well. Junior executive, age 29 and younger, that's $699. That's a very good rate. And the junior executive joint, $999. We should point out, Carol, by joining the club, and Jimmy can chime in, you get free gin membership to be able to be a member of the gin play. You have an opportunity to pay a few extra bucks if you want a locker. We have a great cart program, Carol, and certainly the cart program is a very good one. It's very reasonable over the period of the host season. And Jimmy, let's talk about the cart program. What is it, like $4-something for a single?
The exact number is 5.
Oh, here we go. Single cart pass is $540.
Yep.
And that is and the family cart pass is $720. So those rates are very reasonable when you look at the fact that you can get a cart for any day, any time, and play all day.
And when you're a member, you come down on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, whatever night at 5:36 at night.
Right.
You grab the cart key and you just go and you might play 4 or 5 holes.
Exactly.
Where you're not. And that's one of the big bonuses of membership is just access.
Exactly.
That's right.
To come down and play at your convenience and not feel like you have to pay for 9 and play 9 if you don't have time. You can come down and practice. You can come down right out to the middle of the course
and play.
And play a couple holes out there. You can bring your family. You can bring your kids. The locker room access is for members only, which is another member perk.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things is, if you're a good golfer, is you get to play in the club championship, which is one of the most popular tournaments in the area in terms of competitive golf for us older guys.
Yep.
Once you get out of high school and college, there's less opportunities for.
He's calling himself old.
He just
my daughter,
knifed to the chest.
my daughter's older than him. How could this be old?
Oh my gosh!
So tournaments like the club championship and some of the other member tournaments we have is another big plus, and just it's great to support the place and to see the same faces year to year and day to day and weekend to weekend. And it certainly is affordable. It's just a matter of deciding, am I going to golf this summer? If you want to golf this summer, you're going to play, 1.5, 2 times a week. It's a no-brainer.
And by the way, one of the perks, Carol and Jimmy, that I think is great is being a member. You get preferred tee time starting. I believe it starts off the first weekend of May this year.
Correct.
Chris was telling me, which means as you're a member, you may get an 8:40 or an 8:45, depending on how many are available from a year ago, because some of the people come back and they have the same time, which they're allowed to do. So let's say you have an 8:30 on Saturday and a 9:20 on Sunday. Those are locked in for your group as long as you show up and play those times.
Right.
You can call in and make the change, let the pro know that you're not coming, it's family emergency or you're sick or something. But I think that's one of the more invaluable perks of being a member. You are always assured of playing at a specific time, and I think, Carol, that's a big plus.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It really is nice.
It's nice because
you can play on your weekends.
It used to be you had to call up.
Yeah, they used to drive us nuts. I remember that.
You'd spend 2 hours on the phone trying to get through because everybody else was calling through. And
I like this.
That was one of the reasons we did it.
I like it.
And there's still, there's still room for other people to
Sure,
play.
exactly.
So we're not excluding them.
Oh, I agree.
But and then there's sometimes when someone who has a preferred tee time, their foursome's not playing,
Sure.
they just say we won't be there that week. And
Exactly.
so it opens it up. So anyone who's looking to play who doesn't have a preferred
Right.
tee time
Exactly.
certainly should call the club to find out what's available. So,
I agree.
So
And again, I want to emphasize, if you're checking us out today and you don't play the Seneca Falls Country Club, or you're not a member and you have 3 friends that play different courses, you want to try Seneca Falls, you've never played Seneca Falls, you've heard about the 16th hole, which is one of the more difficult par 4s in the entire state of New York. Ask me, I've taken enough 8s and 10s on that hole. My point is, you just call down, talk to the pro, get a tee time for your foursome, and the club always runs specials. And if you've joined the club and you come down and play the club, you enjoy the great food by John and check out Sammy, you may decide to have the impetus to join the
that's
club.
right.
So again, I want to make that emphasis because I think a lot of people are misunderstood and don't have the right information. Anybody can call up and get a tee time with the pro if you're not, quote unquote, one of the members of the club.
that's correct. That's correct.
And they always have a special. Let's talk, Jimmy, about specials. You got a special working this month. With
April
a few days to
is
go.
$20 for 18 holes with a cart, which is a pretty great deal.
Amazing price.
So you come down with a $20 bill, and there you go, 18 holes with a cart.
Yeah, that's a good price.
And that'll run through the end of April, and then in May that'll bump up to 25, and then going forward it'll be our regular rate of $30 for 18 holes with a cart for a green fee, which in its own is a really good deal.
Very good. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, Carol, it would be remiss if I didn't talk about some tournaments. I know you mentioned before we went on the air, you got a couple of tournaments to talk about, a couple of mentions of. Why don't you mention you're bringing a couple of new ones in this year?
We're bringing in 2 new tournaments. We were contacted. One of them is September 14th, and that's the Golisano Children's Hospital
Awesome.
tournament hosted by the Dave Balliette family, and we actually met with Dave yesterday or Saturday, I guess. It's all the same when you're retired.
I know.
And so that's going to be a very nice tournament. We're also going to have a tournament. It's called the John F. Russo Memorial Leukemia Tournament in memory of a young man who passed away, and that's a new tournament. This will be its first year. The Golisano one is its first year at our that the Balliettes have hosted, and of course we have our regular standard ones. I want
Sure.
to. You mentioned.
Yep.
I want to jump to a different
Sure.
golf idea. For ladies who like to play golf, we have 2 different leagues. We have an 18-hole women's league on Thursday mornings, and we have a 9-hole league on Tuesday nights. And they are, if you're not a member, you're welcome to pay. Obviously, you pay greens fees, but
Sure.
but you're welcome to play. And that Tuesday night used to be I was on the waiting list to get into
There you go.
that back
Right.
in 1960.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And so those are leagues that
Sure.
we have that are in house. But we do have several tournaments coming in. We think we have a hospice tournament coming in. We have the Golisano tournament coming in. The John Russo Memorial tournament coming in. In addition to the Rally for the Cure, which I'd be remiss if I didn't mention,
Sure.
the Rally for the Cure is coming back. So we have lots of tournaments going on, and I apologize if I've missed naming
And we should
them.
point out, you show deference to the membership. You mostly book those tournaments during the week, with very few exceptions.
Absolutely.
Not to interfere with the members who want to play golf on the weekend. So we should
right.
point that out.
Yeah. Oh, the Orange Pack's coming June 10th.
Orange Pack, and
Yeah,
that's always
a big
a
tournament.
big tournament.
Yeah. So the old tournaments are returning, and we have some new ones. So we're excited about it. It's going to be a great year.
I know, and the weather's going to change, and it's going to get warm, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to see a lot of people that we haven't seen for several months who go to Florida. And certainly, Carol, I want to take time to thank you for coming in and spending some time. I know you had a staff meeting at the club, and you came here instead. We appreciate that.
Hey, it was fun, Harold.
I know. Well, it wasn't as bad.
I want to say hi to Maya. Hi, Maya.
Hi, Maya. How you doing? So it's always good to have a fireplace chat with a longtime friend. Well, look forward to seeing you an awful lot at the club. Tony's birthday's this week. Your
Yeah,
husband.
it
Happy
is.
birthday,
It
Tone.
is.
Happy
Yep.
birthday, Tony. So from the dog, a longtime buddy of mine. So, by the way, folks, thanks again to Carol for joining us this morning on Weber on Sports. We'd like to preview next week's guest. You talk about young entrepreneurs. We have a young man coming in from Canandaigua, Mike Hare. Why is Mike coming in? Well, he sells, believe it or not, pitching machines. Think about that. for softball and baseball. He sells pitching machines. I thought that was a neat topic to talk about. He'll be here live next week on the couch for another edition of Weber on Sports. Again, thanks to Carol Ganzon for joining us this morning. Hope you have a great week. Get down there and start playing some golf at the Seneca Falls Country Club. A great bargain. That's a look at sports my way.